flip it to the perspective of, say, my bro, I'm sure he had his own challenges. Maybe he didn't have a mic like us over here, so he can share. So maybe he was going through a rough time. It was January, labda alipe school fees. You never know what's happening with his own health. So he has to handle his own health. So, but now he has to inconvenience himself to help this little brother. And the only reason you have to help this guy is because ni bro wako.
Me, I think personally I've been on the other side. Like, I mean, right now I'm in a position where I'm able to help my brothers and sisters and, my relatives and all that. But at some point when I was still in uni, when my dad passed on, I didn't have anyone else to tegemea in terms of, paying my rent or just upkeep. So I had to, go back and dig into that particular black tax. So personally...
But who are you black taxing?
My uncles... You guys, let me tell you, just anyone. You guys, we didn't even have to be related like that. Even distant relatives. Unajua wale third cousin of sijui the in-law of sijui wapi. Because at least you had
that's funny.
You had a lot of brothers and sisters, and it's very easy for you to get black tax from your close relatives, like from your bro, from your cousin, from your aunt. That's very easy. But the farther away you go from your nuclear family, the harder it gets. So for me, I had to go and talk to my uncles. I'm like, hey, I need rent. I need money for food. I need nini, and I really benefited from black tax myself. So I feel. Why are you laughing?
It's true, it's taking a turn. Check it. How I benefited. No, uncle. No, but for real, so it kept you going.
It kept me going, and honestly, I think the other reason were like, they are supporting me so that I get to a point where now I go and help the other person, because I think that's how it works. That's how black tax works. You help someone in the hopes that when they get better and they get stable, they'll help another person. So it keeps on going and going. It's like continuous.
In fact, I had a question, because you're a Muslim brother. Is Islam considered an Abrahamic religion?
Not sure about
but
that.
Abraham is part of the forefathers, even in Islam. I don't know. But I know from when Abraham, according to the Christian text, he said that he was told you are blessed to become a blessing, which I feel like it describes exactly what you're saying. Like anything that is given to you, ideally, should be something that you should take, and it's not just for you to hog. It's not just for you to enjoy. It's for you to enjoy part of it, and then people around you, can also enjoy from the, the money that you're making, the resources that you have. So it takes me to my point. I feel like when I was discussing with my friend, he was telling me that some white lady was telling him they have no idea about that system of black tax. I feel like many of our African society norms have been, made to look like they are not a good thing. All right, because many times when we discuss, even just look at the phraseology, black tax.
But it's black tax.
No, but that's a name.
Okay, what would you have wanted it to be called?
Because in our African culture, there's something called Ubuntu.
Okay.
So Ubuntu means we are, coming together. So if you read about the African traditional society, a village used to come together. Like the village was above the individual. So if we are farming, even the hunters and gatherers, they'd go, they hunt. They go naba, the Hadza tribe.
Gorilla.
Yeah. Unachukua gorilla unaipepeta.
Go naba gorilla. Nikawa naipiga ngoto.
You guy, waongelea Hadza tribe, you guy. Magorilla zinapitia mbaya sana hizo area za Rwanda.
100 men versus 1 gorilla.
You guy, it was 1 Hadza against 100 gorillas, you guy. So unacheki. So you go, you hunt, but then the food is for the whole community. You go and share. You don't pepeta all of it in the bush. You eat maybe kidogo, but now you bring most of it to the home, to the village. Then everybody shares. So I feel like this Western culture brought in something called individualism. So mi naishi tu for me. You know, and I feel like that's what perpetuates, you know, hizi vitu za Instagram, you know, you take a selfie, I am in this place, this is me, this is my job, I am, you know, panda ingi ndege, maze niende diani with so I feel like this new Western culture, because in the West, maze, I remember there was this guy I went to visit huko West, a white guy. So I knocked the door, akafungua. So he was chewing. So akafungua mlango akasema, "Hey, what's up man, you white?" Alafu akarudi akachukua, alikuwa na kipizza. Alafu akaenda akaiweka kwa kabati you guy. Alafu akarudi you guy huko akipanguza mdomo. How you doing bro? How you doing bro? So I'm like, "Yo man. Okay, I didn't want the pizza, but see, I wanted it. I could smell it." So that Western culture of individualism is what now is making us describe some of these cultures of ours, which I think are really good and have mega advantages. We start calling them very sad names, come a black tax. You know, I don't like that.
I get it, but I think right now you're just pointing fingers, Emmanuel. You're just pointing fingers because...
What do you mean?
Listen, the reason this happens, actually, and this term actually originated in South Africa, like during the apartheid policies, you know, like black people... You know, no, like...
Beru ndio come up with that name.
But now, okay, so they have something to do with it, but that's not the whole reason. The whole reason it's called black tax and the whole reason it exists is because during that time, you know, the black people were barred from getting wealth building opportunities, you know, like land ownership, you know, quality education, employment. So after apartheid, a lot of black people, if not most of them, were broke. They didn't have money. So the first crop of people, the first cohort of black people from apartheid who got money and became broke into the middle class, they had the responsibility, if not the obligation, to take care of these other guys who are still pure. Wako kwa block bado. So unaona, it still goes back to bado tulikuwa tumesota wote, but mimi nika make it. Basaju mimi nimemake it, siwezi acha watu wangu wakae bado wakiwa huku down.
Which is a good thing. Right?
Yeah, which is a good thing. But now the problem, Emmanuel, is, you know, this is it's a cultural expectation and a moral obligation, but it's not enforced by law. I say this because my dad was a big champion of black tax. Me, I remember as a kid, you know, most of my uncles walikuwa, because we used to live in LD, unajua, so wametoka Kipkaren or wherever wametoka, sindio? Most of the schools iko LD nini, so when they get to that age after high school, even during high school, I remember seeing most of them wangekuja walale kwetu. My dad used to pay some of their fees. Wengine wakienda kampo, you know, like my dad alikuwa anachana out your black tax expeditiously.
He used to support the community.
Yeah, very, 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 very much.
Like what? Like mainly relas?
Relas, even just neighbors and all that. Like he was a very charitable person, you know. But now, you know, that when sadly he passed away, you know, there's no receipt that I had to go and tell my uncle, listen, my dad paid for you school fees, so me, I want you to pay mine. You know, it's just a cultural expectation. It's a moral obligation. Akikataa kufanya hakuna pali nampeleka. So when my dad died, you know, he had spent a lot of his money building other people and building relatives and all that. But when he passed away, there was no way sisi tungeenda tuseme, unajua our dad alifanya 1 2 3 so and go and demand ati sasa now it's your turn to do this.
Ungeenda upite na TV moja.
You mean TV moja?
Cheki ETV budangu. Wewe achana na mimi wewe. Wacha kunishikilia shingo. Budangu ndio aliba. Wewe black tax, you guys. But I get you. So there's no way to withdraw.
Yeah, so even when I was calling them, I won't lie to you, some of them helped, some of them never picked up my phone. You know, because they knew already, like, I need something.
There's something in the, I think it's in the UK, I don't know where else. It's called the honesty box. So if you're a farmer, because it's a big farm, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have a lot of staff members. So una produce maziwa, for example.
Yeah.
So what you do is you just take the maziwa hapo kwa gate, unaziweka kwa machupa, alafu unaweka like a container hapo kando.
Yeah.
So me, I take a liter of milk, alafu naekelea do zangu hapo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's no supervision. That's why it's called an honesty box. I feel like this system of black tax should be a system of honesty. All right, such that if my bro came through for me, and God forbid anything happens to say his toy, I don't send them away.
Yeah,
like I make it my own personal responsibility to sort them out. But as you're saying, how many people actually do that?
Yeah, because now the flip side of it is, I think my dad, as much as he was a charitable person and a good person, I think he went overboard with the overboard with the black tax thing. Because in the end, it was never a solid thing enye alituachia. You know, it was not like alituachia land or something. Alituachia goodwill. You know, goodwill of the people, which you cannot bank.
But you guys, do you think Sir God in your side have come through for you? Huh?
I don't know. Nilijaribu kumcall during my tough times. Cheki, hello.
Cheki, wewe Sir God ni budaga wede like sina. Because ideally si yote wanasema Sir God atakureward.
Yeah. But during that time, you know, okay, easy way to like, they sound well, and you know, maybe it'll take time before he answers, you know.
No,
but during that time,
okay, you're here on a national radio station.
But during that time, I needed to eat that day, you know. Praying could not have helped me.
But I hear you
at that particular time.
I think we had a discussion around this when you were hanging out before the show, and I was telling you. Probably because I'm really into this African Pan-Africanism thing. And I really think of how this Western culture has disrupted some of the things that we had already sorted out. There's some good things, but there are also some bad things which come with a full-blown Western style of living. First of all, we had our own system of sorting out the village, which I described earlier. And then the story that you're describing about your dad coming through for guys in the village, I feel like in the Western culture and in the current economic setup, we have things called a trust. Like there's this white lady who was telling me, my great grandfather left me some money, and I still have money from my grandfather, which I haven't touched. And then there's also the trust for my dad. So I'm just in Africa doing some charitable things. I'm working for an NGO specializing in animal husbandry. And then, I love it. I love it here in Africa. So you see, you can't compete with that chick.
No.
That chick has a trust. You guys, she already has money from her great granddad. But for us guys, our trust is now in individuals. So I'll invest. I'll get this job. And then if I have a toy, you guy who's in the village, now I use the resources that I have and invest in that toy. And hopefully this toy will also continue with the line. Because many people even that I was with in high school, they came from nothing, you guys. So if someone didn't step up and say, let's invest in these people, they'd just be villagers right now.
Yeah, but the good thing you went to me the word hopefully. Because now the good thing about a trust, alisema hiyo do iko and it's there iko, there's numbers in a paper, in a bank there's figures pahali, hiyo do iko. But you're just trusting the goodwill of someone else to continue the chain of support that we ulianzisha. Which I think inaweza kuacha, if that is what unategemea saizi, useme ati mimi nitachunga watu wangu, ndo time yenye mimi sitakuwa watu wangu watachunga watoi wangu. That's what my dad thought, and it didn't end very well for us. So that is not a very solid investment, not even an investment, not a very solid assurance kama a trust, because a trust is you've left money for your family that will help them in their day-to-day living.
Look, you guys, we okay, yes, I agree with everything that you're saying, but I'm just trying to paint a picture of why we're in this situation. First of all, our economic style wasn't the things that we're doing right now. See tulikuwa hunters, gatherers, farmers and stuff. Mudhugu fulani akatokea, mazee akatu colonize.
Tulikuwa tuna nab gorillas.
Sasa trust, mtu mwenye akona you guys, so mse mwenye akona trust from their great grandfather, like that's money from which year? Like maybe the 1900s.
Yeah.
Right. See, us guys, we've said this new modern economic system now. All right. So now the only way to compete is just coming together. All right, like that's the only way. That's why many of these communities which have this thing of coming together, like the Somalis do a lot of thing of crowdfunding and making sure
Indians they do that.
Sudanese. But there's a day I was on TikTok, and then I said, because at that time I was taking care of my mom. So I remember I went on TikTok, then I said saying, hey Maze, me, I don't have toys, Maze. But I was looking at my mother and guys were really because all my brothers were coming through to take care of her.
Yeah.
Because I remember we'd all have shifts, Kisiangani tutaenda kwa hosi. And then, so it happened that she was sorted in terms of, there was a presence of one of her toys at any given time. Yeah. So I said, it's important to get toys because, hey, ukizeeka.
You need someone to take care of you.
They'll take care of you. You guys, that thing got a lot of blowback. Guys really ingilieng me hapo kwa comments.
Colin.
Ati mbona, ati mimi, ati kwani wewe unataka watoto, wewe unafanya watoto wako ndio unawategemea.
So it's like your kids are your investment.
Right? Yeah, they're trying to paint a picture that I'm saying. Ati sasa nataka watu wapate watoto ndio wategemee when they're older, which is not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying it happens that my mother had many toys and it's a good thing.
And it helped that you guys
and
were
it
there.
Actually truly helps if you're old.
Yeah.
And you have someone who you trust to help you. So I feel like this this Western system has broken that, and I feel like we've fully now embraced individualism, such that the thought of even helping becomes a thought that you don't like.
But now, Emmanuel, let me ask you a question. Like I'm not saying black tax is bad, but it does have its own limitations. Because like where do you really draw the line? I was seeing there was a study that was done, I think, in the US. So they took 2 college graduates. One of them was white, one of them was black, right?
I wanted to say you draw the line at 2K.
Yeah.
Like, more than 2K, apana. But sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, so both of them, they were studying the same course, in the same university, and then they've graduated. They get similar jobs, getting paid around the same amount of money. So this white student ends up 10 years later or 5 years later, they end up building more wealth compared to this particular black person, and the reason is that white person, the family is not dependent on him like that. Like he does not have to send money to the family. Okay. So he has enough money to invest, to save, to do 1, 2, 3 with. But ukiangalia this black person, first of all, half of the salary inaenda sijui kulipia sijui nani fee kufanya nini. So you see, at some point, it's good that you are helping other people, but also it's limiting it's limiting your ability to invest and save. And like that's how people grow wealth in the long term,
True.
So my question is, where do you draw the line? Like, as much as you're trying to help your relatives and your family and all that, like you personally, you have your own personal goals, right? You want to start a business, you want to invest your money, you want to save your money. Like where do you draw the line? Ama tu we utakuwa unatuma tu, anytime unapigiwa unatuma tu.
No, I think you should set boundaries. Like you should have you have to be generous, but you have to not be reckless in your generosity.
Yeah.
So you actually have to have a budget. And then everyone, including yourself, has to live within that budget.
Yeah.
Because now I can't bail you out and not have enough to come to work.
Yeah.
All right. I have to be like, hey, my budget yangu ilikuwa 2K per month. Ya kuwasort the whole Lwandeti village. Cheki pole watu wa Lwandeti, budget yangu ilisema 2K. Lakini saa isha. No, but for real, you have to have boundaries. Otherwise, both of you are going to be broke. There are some guys, maybe this will flip the conversation to another tangent, but there are many of these stories about men who spend their lives helping, or rather, let's not say helping, doing the responsible thing of taking care of the family.
Yeah.
Pouring their lives into this family. The way you're saying, they no longer even have savings because
they haven't invested in anything. All the money is just
fees. Make sure you're living well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then now wanazeeka. Alafu hao watu wengi mazee, they grow up. And then the mother gets a job hapo in America. Anaenda kupata, labda mtu mmoja anaenda States, alafu anaita mother.
Yeah.
Because the way guys are closer to their moms.
Yeah, sure.
So the guy joins the guy is alone in Nairobi or in Shag somewhere. He spent his life building the lives of these people around him. Alafu when he's old, they're abandoned. Have you come across that school of thought?
Yeah, I think I've seen that before. I think you're the one who brought this up. And it's quite sad because I mean you've spent all of your years investing in these people, but now that's the thing. It's not enforceable by law. Unajua, at the end of the day, you can do all that, and they'll just move on and leave you there without even sending anything to you, and they'll be right in their own name because it was up to them. The way you said, hopefully they will. So will you leave your entire future to hopefully?
There's a whole movement where men are encouraging each other to save for themselves. Make sure they have something that will be trickling towards them when they're older. Because if they expend everything on the people around them, alafu wakwe abandoned. Wako pale Kisii mazee. You guys, you've worked in Nairobi all your life, so imebidi urudi Kisii, you guys.
Yeah.
Alafu mazee family kwa America. You guys, it's sad, you guys.
The other thing, and I think this also happened, like even before my dad passed on, like because he was ill, he wasn't able to work like that. So his capacity to provide ilishuka kiasi. Like I found myself resenting him because he was not.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he was not getting as much money as he used to kitambo. Unajua, we had to move to a smaller house. I was young, yes, but I am looking back to it. I'm like I never kumbukad all the times where he had come through for me. I was like, Dad, like,
yeah, because you don't think you're at that age, huh?
What are we doing in this? But, like I really looked down upon him. I swear, I won't even lie to you. I found myself doing that, and I'm sorry, but it happened, So I'm like when your value is tied to your ability or capacity to provide, what happens when you can't anymore?
Yeah. So it's good that you're sharing. Thanks for being vulnerable. I hope your family are not listening. You guys, you really be summoned, you guys. That's your experience. That's your personal experience. Yeah. I feel like you should, because you're talking about how to help sustainably. I feel like you should prioritize sustainable help. All right. So instead of giving out monthly handouts, you just let somebody survive.
Yeah? You mean survive?
No, I'm going somewhere. Si bora adishi 1 meal a day yako fiti. Right.
Yeah.
Bora amekula kitu hiyo siku.
Yeah.
So you pay the money, you pay for a cost. Right? So you don't pay. Unajua kitu kama sina pesa ya mafuta ya gari. You guys bana. Unafanya nini kwa gari first of all?
Yeah.
Weka hiyo gari kwa parking. Like I don't know, my bro forgot I'm driving. Akikumbuka angeniambia niweke hiyo gari kwa parking, you guys. So you pay for a skill or a course, you know, like if somebody is going to learn aeronautic engineering, unamlipia ama some computer package, you guys.
Yeah.
So when this person is done, they'll be able to stand on their own 2 feet. My mom was a black taxer, you guys.
Hey! What do you mean black taxer?
But alikuwa anazilipa willingly.
For real? Like she was
she used to look for black tax to pay. So we always had a rela somewhere who she's sorting out. Mara amemlipia fees, you guys. Amempeleka secretarial college. Kidogo mwingine amempeleka high school. Like I think she used to relish that type of, like sometimes she'd even use her last dollar.
Yeah.
Okay, anaitumia alafu anakupigia na kwambia Take Emmanuel, I don't have anything. Take wewe mbona ulilipia huyo kijana fees bwana. So, but she used to do it the way I'm describing right now. She used to do sustainable help. She'd pay for you to go to a college. She'd pay for you to do a short course. So after a while, these guys would move on. And the other thing she used to tell me was, even as you're helping these guys, don't expect them to come and tell.
So tender wema nenda.
Yes. Don't expect them to start saying, huyu alinisaidia sana, huyu mama. Some of them will, but majority will just be caught up with life and go and help other people. They'll go and help their own nuclear family. But as you're doing these things, even for your closest relative, even your bro, even your toys, you guy, you just know that somehow you'll use these other things that you have to set up in terms of your finances, meaning you can't use all your money. You have to also save some money for yourself, invest for yourself, but prioritize things that help people to stand on their own 2 feet to compel.
And I think it's easier said than done when you say we need to create boundaries and all that. Because have you ever tried to tell someone sinner or tell a family member no? Like, let me tell you, the amount of emotional manipulation and blackmail that these people have, it needs to be studied. Imeenda shule, bro. Yeah. Like, unaweza ambia mtu enyewe, hata umwambie nimpigie hesabu, sawa, mimi sina shida, acha nikuambie hesabu yenye niko. Hapa mimi niko na so 5 mbele nyuma. Na hizo 5 nafaa kukula, nafaa kufanya nini na nini na nini. Umuelezee tu venye kuko tu yenyewe kwa ground. Still bado arona nikao na mnyima hiyo pesa.
Yeah, alafu atakuongelea.
You guy.
Utasema wewe ni mchoyo. Check, imagine yeye akona budget ya so 5 yake peke yake. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You know.
And even when you try to improve yourself, because I remember when my mother now decided to build, you know, when she decided to build, I think she got some money, she did some business nini akaangukia kitu. So when she decided to build, you know, a home for herself and even for us nini, you know, there were some relatives talking about ati imagine alipata hiyo pesa yote na badala ya kutupea kutusaidia akaamua kujenga. So even when you decide to just become selfish and improve yourself, it's still a problem.
Yeah.
It's almost like you expected just to give everything away.
And then you join each other in poverty.
Maze.
Alafu atakuongelea.
Venye umesota.
Take, imagine huyu alikuwa na pesa. Imagine.
Usione hivi.
Badala kujenga nyumba, akachoma pesa. You guys damned if you didn't have, if you don't, maze.
And honestly, watu naurumia sana ni anyone listening to us mwenye, if you are in the diaspora, if you are pale tune in or Radio Garden or www.rgk.co.ke, or if you're streaming on YouTube or X or wherever you're listening to, kama uko majuu maze, I'd like to know experiences of people who are in the US or the UK, you know. And I was actually seeing this documentary where someone decided to go and visit, you know, just immigrants who are living in the UK, and go and see like how are they really living, because we have this notion that once umetoka Kenya, umeenda Mayolo, you guy uko sawa. So he went there and just decided to ask these people like, how are you really living? How are you going? How is your day to day? Are you surviving? Are you making money? Are you know, because there's that expectation that once umeenda majuu yenyewe pesa si issue kwako. So me, I'd like to know the experiences of people living in diaspora, because for them it's hiyo ni lazima, like kama umeenda majuu bro. Me, I'm guilty of that. Like me, ilikuwa hiyo time ya kupiga wasema when nilikuwa na benefit from the black tax. Me, I used to target by them my relatives in the US, in the UK, because now
so nani nini?
So nani ile tu unapigia mtu, unamuuliza venye familia inaendelea, kama watoto wamekula, kama ng'ombe ziko sawa zimekamuliwa leo, alafu before ukate simu unamwambia unaweza kuwa na so 5 hapo. Hiyo ndo I was an expert, baze. I was an expert. So
ati ng'ombe iko fit.
Okay, lazima ujue kama naendelea sawa. Huwezi tuomba pesa.
You have to have a strategy. But yeah, you're right. The guys in the diaspora go through a lot of that. In fact, for them, it's actually expected. Like, it's expected that you should be sending money.
Yeah.
So they carry that burden. Sometimes even when they're leaving, they're given the speech of usisahau watu wa nyumbani. But if you think about it, maybe, I don't know about now, but I remember back in the day, we used to go to the airport together.
Yeah.
If say wewe unaenda Mayolos. So
unaona inashika.
Inashika. So unaenda Mayolos, So us as a family, tunakuchangia first of all. You know, I sell my goods, I bring in the money, and then we even hire a matri, you know, tupeleka paka airports. And then like it was a community thing of somebody on the block with us is leaving.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what creates the expectation of as you're out of the block and you're making it to Koju, don't forget the guys on the ground
who helped you.
Yeah. But you know, I feel like there are more sustainable ways. Maybe if somebody maybe you have free pass of if there's someone else from the village and you also come into Mayolos, you can host them in your house.
Yeah.
I feel like we should have a conversation about the age when you can't even demand black tax.
Yeah.
Like if I have a little brother who is going through primary school, I've put him through primary school. I've put him through high school, put him through campus.
Yeah.
and now hana kazi yako kwangu bado. So I feel like there has to be a limit. Like, how you can't just withdraw perpetually. There has to be a point when utaangalia huyu mtu mwambie, boss, I've done everything that I could do. Now yenyewe it's time for you to get out, utafute pahali pa kuishi na ujisort. Even if you have to get a menial job in quotes, like whatever you have to do, go and do it. But I feel like there has to be an expiry date on every candidate that is receiving money from you.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference between helping and enabling. Because at some point,
helping and enabling.
Umesikia hapo hadi na rhyme.
You guys kuishi Ngong Road by the way.
Maisha ni smart.
Mimi nikiwa kids day fikiria your life.
There has to be a difference between helping and enabling, because I can imagine, and I think this is something you've brought up. It goes back to charity and Africa. People who just wamezoea charity to a point where now there's always free money coming at the end of the month. What is the reason? Nina ni motivate niende nitafute job kama najua nitakuwa napata kakitu. Ni kama tu welfare in the US. Some people are very comfortable living on welfare because welfare works to the point where once you start earning a certain amount of money, you're taken off welfare. So you're actually incentivized not to work, because once you start earning unatolewa kwa hiyo welfare. So now that's the difference. Is there like are you really helping this person or you are enabling them?
Especially if it's a perpetual source of income. Like if I have a perpetual source of free money, and then I haven't been taught how to be responsible around money, I feel like that's when that comes up, such that I'll just be drinking. There are societies where they receive a lot of money from the government. I've read about some areas in Australia where these guys called the Aborigines. It's actually a very sensitive thing to talk about those guys. Say can you go Australia hata labda ningekuwa nimepigiwa na Communication Authority in Australia. Check it, hello mate. What are you talking about, mate? So those guys, there are areas where they receive a lot of money from Gaba, and sadly, some of them in those villages, they don't do much with their lives. Like they're just chilling. There's a lot of alcohol abuse. So that free money definitely doesn't build you up at a certain point. There are even these guys who live in these reservations in the states. So they have an area, semi-autonomous-ish, where they can just run their stuff, and the government gives them some money. So even those areas, same problems. Gambling, drinking. So there's like I have a cat at home. I have a cat yenye inazanga every other month. Yo paka yangu iko na madharau yuka hizo paka za kite. Cause inaenda inapata ball. Alafu there's another orange cat which I see around, a melon. So hii paka, after hii paka yangu kupata ball, sionangi hiyo paka tena. Alafu saa mimi ndio nachunga hawa tu you guys.
Sasa unafuata after hiyo paka ya orange.
But you guys, I'm not their daddy. Check it, I'm not your daddy. Enda utafute babako manze.
You guys unalipa cat tax.
You guys, I'm raising other people's kids, you guys, manze, in my dicks.
Alafu mwenye hiyo paka ya orange manze anajibamba.
Anakula minofu manze. Sasa mimi nachunga makitten, you guys. That is very very sad. But kama unasikiza na wewe ni mwenye hiyo paka ya orange hapo Kenya. You guys nitafanyia hiyo paka vitu.
Iongelesha.
Mbaya sana.
Jichunge sana.
Cheki wewe, utaacha kupatia mimba paka yangu wewe. So you guys, I was saying that to say this mother cat. So it has reached a point where it's not allowing these two kittens to suckle anymore. Azinyonyi. So zikijaribu kunyonya mazizi na chapo, unajua makofi za paka. Yeah, so if even an animal has the wisdom for that, we have to get to a point where we understand that continuously paying out of your pocket for someone perpetually actually just sabotages their destiny, you guys.
Yeah, because I can imagine, and I feel like because me, I'm the second last born in my particular nuclear family, and I have, like my dad had several wives, so I have other older siblings and all that. But you have like mko ngapi? 25
22 jo.
22 ni
shout out
you guys, team mbili mnaweza cheza game ya futa na mko na sub.
Ukiretweet issue yetu mazee naongezea pesa. Check it, hey, so many people retweeted our show. 22 people.
We have 22 people on the live.
Check it. Those are my relatives, you guys.
You know, and I can feel like the burden is always on the eldest, especially I feel like the firstborns and the knee, like I don't wanna pity the burden of black tax kabisa. So my question is, I mean, obviously there's this burden when you mesema like we need to do it in a sustainable way. So should we sit down as a family and plan for this black tax? Tukae chini as a family na tuseme we need a black tax fund. Yenye kama umelemewa you just borrow from it. Like how can we really do this? Because I don't think it's fair for one person to take the responsibility of all these other people.
I think the challenge is maybe on different levels of income. So maybe you say we'll be contributing 10K per month.
I mean, according to
like in our family, it's called a welfare fund. And I feel like one of the problems, it's a good idea.
Yeah,
it's good to have a welfare fund, a rainy day fund for the family. But I feel like even in our own case, without mentioning some of the culprits, hii welfare funds saa zingine mtu anachukua pesa na harudishi
because it's family,
as in atapelekwa wapi.
Cheki mtadu na nimekula hizo ndo mtadu mkanipiga.
Cheki nipige basi ishe.
Cheki ishe nitakupiga na bado utanilipa bro.
So it's a good idea, but there has to be some sort of discipline around it. Like, what are the rules to this fund? What's the security? But sasa security gani? Msemo anaomba pesa you guy. Sasa utaanza kuitisha security. Na ni bro wako.
Especially kama ana anything coming in sasa, because I'm like, if someone doesn't have a job, there's no any source of income at all. Like someone is like purely dependent on that.
I feel like such a fund, when you're forming it and you're having that discussion, you have to also agree that ido labda itairudi.
Obviously si ati kutakuwa na return on investment on hiyo do, but at least ikwe hapo whenever it's needed. So si ati ni kama mtu akilemewa anaanza kutana. Unajua sasa mtu anakupigia na yenyewe hauna kakitu. You know, so
like it's a genuine case.
It's a genuine case where you don't have anything to give them. So will it help that if you guys just contribute to a particular pool of money that if someone needs money, they can just always take from the fund?
I think that's a great plan. I think that's a great plan that you have that fund where you can withdraw when somebody is PTAing. You help them with the money. But I also feel like there has to be some rules around that money. Otherwise, you'll find... In my experience over the years and even the conversations I've had with people, sometimes it's just the same guy who's always in a rat.
Yeah.
So the same dude mwenye keeps coming to ask for money from the welfare. All right.
Yeah.
But sometimes fortunes are different for different people. But I feel like the most important thing is the understanding as you're creating e-welfare.
Yeah.
It may be that there's this one person who, as you'll have to support you guys.
For life.
Maybe not. Hopefully not. I think it shouldn't be easy to get the money.
Yeah.
Huyu mtu anafaa kupigiwa simu na huyu number 3 na third born. Enough umuulize very important questions. Because the money itself won't solve the problem.
So lazima umvet kwanza apewe hiyo do.
Yeah, there has to be some serious vetting. There has to be some serious. Lazima feel your feeling ya. Hii maisha ya kuomba pesa. Ni ngumu you guys. You have to pick hiyo lecture na bro wangu, but they have never ever looked back.
They started working hard.
You guys, I prayed to Sagodi nikamwambia, Sagodi, nisiwahi jipata in this position manze. Because it's humiliating.
Yeah.
But the problem is someone who you're paying that black tax towards now, they're not feeling anything. I think that's a problem. You guys, do you feel like there are some cultures which black tax is more prevalent than others? This is this very beautiful lady, you guys, from Lowland. Mazee alikuwa anapelekwa mbio sana na madhake, you guys. Madhake alikuwa anampigia na mwambia, "Tuma pesa ama tukae tu hapa kwa hii nyumba na tukufe." So you guys. So madhake alikuwa
like ni ile si tafadhali.
Bas. Like send that money right now.
Or else we die.
Yeah, ama tutakula mboga hapa tuku. And then I realized them they don't call like kukula ugali, like sometimes they tell us tukule ugali nyama na mayai. Like, hey man, that is poverty.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, man. It doesn't be ugali with nyama.
Oh, so ugali mayai ni poverty.
Yeah, to her to her family at least. Yeah. So I feel like some cultures, just the way even globally.
Yeah.
Some cultures, black tax is more prevalent than others. And me, I'm just sharing my own personal experience. I'm not painting anyone in any type of way.
Yeah.
But in my experience with my lady from the left side, and also my other buddy, I have another buddy from the left side who was telling me it's expected that the firstborn, by the way you can holler at me, I'll share with the number, you tell me if this is true or not.
Yeah.
The firstborn has to take care of the other kids. Like it's like ni lazima.
So you're like the deputy parent.
The first one kupenya
and matters.
The first one kupenya, you guy mazi tunahamia kwako.
So you guy is succeeding really worth it if you guy you're succeeding.
It's a system.
It's a system.
Yeah, si sasa wataingia kwako lakini si wanaenda shule. Wanaenda shule hawalali tu hapo during the day. During the day wanaamka wanaenda makazi zao wanaenda kole, and then now it reach a point wenye a point where wamesimama saa kivyao. But now the problem, as you were saying earlier, is even you have your own saving goals.
You have your own family.
Alafu pia unataka kujenga hapo Kitengela kwa wadosi.
Wapi huko? Tanzania.
So it'll definitely affect your goals.
Yeah.
Sure. We are discussing black tax over here kwa hii studio. Naona feedback inaingia hapa mbio sana. We have a WhatsApp line which I want to share with you, Bashir. But meanwhile, how can they reach us on X?
So on X, we have a post that we put up about this particular topic. So the topic is black tax. And under that, you can go and comment and tell us, what is your experience about this black tax? Have you been a beneficiary? Are you currently paying black tax? What do you think is a sustainable way? Is there a new black tax idea out there that can really help our listeners? Because listen, this is something that is always going to be there. I feel, we're always going to be helping and supporting our family members, but is there a sustainable way to do it without sabotaging your own individual endeavors and success?
I feel like also, Bash, we should it would be very nice if we hear from someone who's living off it. Like, I'd like to know how you feel about it. Does it make you feel horrible that your bro has to pay all your bills? That he's not even married because of you. They're just too mieng. Hata hizi nunua baga, you guy. You guy jaiji jinunulia kahawa, you guy, for years.
Yogurt.
Bana. Ama jamaa. And also, if you're paying out the black tax heavily, you're driving your digital taxi, and you have to use, like, you're grinding just so that you can put a roof over your relatives' heads, apart from even your own family. I feel like if those guys reach out to us, it'll make for a rich conversation. So the number, you can send us a voice note, and I'll play the voice note on the air. All right. So the number is 0116-928-683. All right. I'm going to say it again. The number is 0116-928-683. Tell us what you think about the conversation. Share with us your black tax experiences, and we'll read out the feedback on the air. I'm enjoying the convo so far, Bashir.
Yeah, you too. Me too, man. This conversation is really amazing. It's very enlightening.
Yeah, it's very, very enlightening, and I feel like we've been very vulnerable. But you can
I feel a bit vulnerable, but we'll be back. Join the wind down for unfiltered conversations and a dash of light banter blend to give you a reset after a long day.
That's what it is.
Tune in, relax, and reclaim your chill, laughter, and good vibes on the wind down.
You got it locked.
Let's wind down your day.
It's 9 o'clock.